When when there's that many minutes left, I'm going to start that timer.
Okay.
You'll see it. No one else.
Okay. Okay. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was going to put my phone there, but then
However
people can see.
it.
That's better because then I don't have to tap it.
You ready, buddy?
Not quite, but go ahead.
Yes, Mike, we're ready.
Yeah. It's all about you, John.
We were hoping for an early start, but I guess that's over.
Now we'll wait for Bill. Welcome, everyone. Welcome people on Zoom. Welcome members in the room and welcome guests. I'm delighted to see this many guests here today. Thanks to each and every club member who invited a guest. I appreciate that. Guests, you are now in the presence of one of the largest and most active Kiwanis clubs in the world. I think that's pretty cool myself. Now, one of the things we do is we care about each other, and 3 cards are being passed around. Guests, you're welcome to sign those cards as well. And at the end of the meeting, those cards will be collected, and one will be sent to our own Amy Carter, who is recovering nicely from some, what do we call it, optional surgery?
Elective?
Elective? Elective sounds better. Elective surgery. So, and then Bruce Swanson's daughter, Bruce Swanson's daughter, has been struggling with a prolonged case of infected kidney. And so we're sending a card over to that family as well. And then Action Clubber, Daphne Stanley, is headed into surgery. So we want to send her into that with our best well wishes. Not mentioned on the agenda, but I'll mention it now. Harry Zuloft, who has appreciated the card we've sent, you'll recall his wife has had some really serious, underlying, really serious medical issues. When I saw Harry last night, his face was smiling brightly, and he was optimistic as it's been in 10 days. That's fantastic. So, okay. The call for introspection, Milton's on his way up here, and Joyce is going to do the pledge, and she's on her way up. Oh yeah, speaking of, thank you. Emily, I saw you earlier. Where are you now? Emily is here today. Let's give her some. Come on up, Milton.
All right. Hello, everyone. I want to take this time to thank everyone who prayed for my 49ers this past week. You don't know what that means to me. But I have, yeah, Super Bowl. All right. Barack Obama said, "We the people recognize that we have responsibilities as well as rights, that our destinies are bound together, that a freedom which only asks what's in it for me, a freedom without the commitment to others, freedom without love or charity or duty or patriotism is unworthy of our founding ideals and those who died in their defense." Charity is something that we all must share. Charity is something that we must bear, especially being Kiwanis. I'm not the president, but I'm acting like it right now. especially as Kiwanis. I believe that's one of our biggest ideals that we have within our spectrum of outreach and what we do every day. And I think that's something we need to remember as we go to our daily walk and our talk. And I was sitting there thinking, what can I say for introspection today? One thing came to mind is the best thing I can do is say this: reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can you sing that with me? Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you, one more time, say, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Please be seated. Andre Brooks is on her way up here. She's going to introduce the guests. While she's coming up, I'll mention that Andre is handing out invitation cards again this week. Everyone in this room is asked to take at least one invitation card and then invite somebody to lunch. And if you do that successfully, next week we'll have just as many guests. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome, good afternoon. I'm officially the greeter and introducer of guests today, so I'm very glad to see all of you. We have a number of guests. I'm pleased. First, let me introduce Mark Slusher. And let me ask you to stand and remain standing. I will also call for your host to stand with you, and then we will give applause at the end. So let me ask Mark Slusher to stand. He says he's retired, but he says with a big smile, he's the speaker's father. Barbara Dirk with Girl Scouts, and her sponsor is Gary Dirk, whether if she wants him or not. Helen Ruth Birch with Girl Scouts. Jennifer Feister with the Virginia Skyline Girl Scouts, which is the correct name. Jennifer Fletcher, who's with Windsor Hills United Methodist Church, and she has two sponsors, Don Witt and Ken Briggs. Tom Fitzpatrick with Roanoke City Schools. His sponsor is Michael Brockton. Tina Badger with Blue Ridge Land Conservative, and her sponsor is Dave. Perry, thank you. I was having a senior moment. Jody Judge is with Brain Injury Solutions, and I believe she's an invited guest to get money. And then I'd like to ask the Roanoke Catholic Key Club to stand for our warm welcome for all of these guests.
Once again, delighted to have you guests. And thank you, club members, for so effectively inviting these guests. So I'm going to pause now for my weekly message. I want you to know that years ago, when I was a senior manager training workshop at the CIA, I was a member of a team, and we were given an exercise in that workshop. We were to list the most essential items to take on a climb of a big mountain. Wow. Can you say perfect task for somebody like myself who's climbed some of the biggest mountains in the world? Here's where the term expert comes into play, I thought. So, I didn't need any stinking team to tell me about things to bring on a mountain climb. I had this one nailed. However, at the end of the exercise, we all compared our answers, individual answers, to the team answer, I found out that the wisdom of the team was better than my own. I found out that the wisdom of the team, no matter how experienced I was in the matter of climbing big mountains, was better than my own wisdom. I surrendered at that point. And from that day on, I relied on the wisdom of the team. So let's recognize that in this club, there's a lot of wisdom on this team. Let's celebrate the wisdom that has been in play to cause our successes and maybe even some of our failures. Let's benefit from that wisdom as we move forward. Let's look for and act on feedback from these wizened people in the room, and I'm staring at you now. Right? So it's for this reason that I formed a Presidential Advisors Committee. It's for this reason that I selected past presidents to be members of that committee. It's for this reason that I've been in constant communication with these past presidents, seeking their advice and wisdom. And it's for this reason that this committee is meeting here next week after the club meeting, so we can talk about the type of wisdom we can employ to do what? Help us with outreach. Thank you very much. So, birthday time. Thank you, Jean.
I don't see Frank Rogan here today. I don't know if he's on Zoom or not, but I would just like to say that today is his actual birthday. We're not quite done with January yet, but we're going to announce the February birthdays. And this is a pretty short list, actually. If you're here today and I call your name, we'd love to have you stand to be recognized for your birthday. Barry Akers, February 6th. Keith Hartman, February 11th. The Valentine birthdays, Clark Goodman and Mike Quinn. Kathy Cohen, February 18th. Tara Marciniak, February 24th. And Betsy Head, February 28th. Now, I know I've got a few singers in here, Milton, Larry, Ben Spiker. If y'all can help us do the birthday song, that would be great. You ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kiwanis. Happy birthday to you.
Well done. Where else can you get recognition just for being alive another year? So one of the most important things we do in this club, one of the most important things we do is give money away. And the director of our grants program, Bob Haberman, is going to come up here now, and we're going to do exactly that.
And thank you, President Mike. We have two grants we're handing out today. First one is for brain injury solutions. I'm asking Alex and Jody Judge to come forward. Alex is going to tell us a little bit about brain injury solutions, and then Jody's going to talk a little bit about what they're going to do with the grant. Alex.
Hello. So having a brain injury can be a life-altering event in of itself. However, once many folks get home from the hospital, they find they are lost. They don't know where to start their journey. Many of the folks that Brain Injury Solutions serves lacks the resources and the supports to even get started in this journey. Fortunately, that's why Brain Injury Solutions is here to help turn tragedy into hope. Their main service is case management, where case managers go into folks' homes, meet with survivors of brain injury and their family, and help identify goals to recovery. This could be anything from finding therapies, to finding recreation, such as healing strides, to finding accessible housing. In some situations, the case managers are even able to find funding to help make these things happen for survivors of brain injury. We're fortunate to have Jody here to explain a little more. She is the Executive Director of Brain Injury Solutions.
I still have some growing to do in order to not have to move the mic. I'm just want to say how grateful we are to be welcomed back because of your generosity. Alex mentioned some importance of what we do. I'll just offer a statistic. 1 in 30 Virginians have sustained a brain injury. And our footprint in the state is large. It's about 16,000 square miles. We have a very small staff that does excellent provision of service delivery. And to speak about the money a little bit, 70% of our revenue does come from the state, but then we are tasked to find the remaining 30%. So with your generosity today, we're going to be able to continue to provide free case management services and life skills within the homes of our survivors so they can remain independent contributors to the community. So we thank you so much.
How was that, Bob?
There you go.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I should hang on to that.
You're throwing away your
I
money.
know, just making it rain in here.
Okay, Blue Ridge will be getting our second grant today, and Dave and Tina, would you come forward? And Dave's going to tell us a little bit about Blue Ridge, and then Tina is going to explain a little bit about what they plan to do with the grant. And then Dave?
Thank you, Bob. Good afternoon, everybody. I've been on the program relatively recently, last year, so a lot of y'all probably already know what we do, but one of the great things about living in this part of the world is that you can look out your window, whether that's your window at your house, your window at your office, your car window as you're traveling, and see something beautiful. You can see a beautiful forested mountain. You can see a beautiful farm where there might be cattle grazing. You can see a beautiful stream. You can see so much natural beauty here in the Roanoke region, and that's what we do. We, the Blue Ridge Land Conservancy, we save land. We work with the folks that own these rural properties surrounding the Roanoke Valley, and we help them forever protect their land from different kinds of development that might damage and impair that beauty, so that future generations of Roanoke Valley residents can enjoy the same beautiful, clean, healthy, vibrant Roanoke Valley that we enjoy today. And one of the ways we get the word out is by educating tomorrow's environmentalists. And that's where Tina Badger comes in. She's our project manager, and she will explain some more about how the club's generous grant, which we really appreciate, will be put to use. So Tina.
I will say we are very grateful for this gift. With this money, it will help us facilitate a program we do. We do Botetourt Bay Days, and then we do River Days in the Roanoke River watershed to bring fourth grade children to streams where that they can learn about how everything we do affects the water quality where we live. So, at this age, they're pretty impressionable, and it really is amazing to look at the awe on these children's faces, particularly the ones that never do get out into a creek or a stream very often, and have them realize, what I do in my backyard will affect those people that live down there. So this will help us continue those programs with the area school children so that we can teach them to be good and stewards of the environment, and hopefully grow up and carry that with them as they go. So thank you.
Drop the check.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's our favorite thing to do, is give money away. And club members. We only do that because you've been successful during the year. Thank you for that. So this year thing, I talked about some of you getting older. Turns out our club got older too. So John Montgomery is going to conduct our annual birthday recognition.
Thank you, David Bowers. Many of you know that this past Sunday was the birthday of Pegram Johnson and Andy Stone and myself. We all were up here doing brags last week. But even more important than that, or at least more important than my birthday anyway, is the birthday of our club. We did turn 104 this past Sunday, January 28th. And it's interesting that our club is one of the oldest in the world. We have 14 guests here in the room, and many of you may not know that. We are number 182, considering if you charter a club now, you're about number 20,000. 182 is pretty low. And we actually rank a better number than that in size. With 149 members, we're one of the largest clubs in the world. We've been as large in the top 10. Right now, we're about 30. They need to get an accurate reading on that. The numbers have fluctuated a good bit during COVID, but 30 out of thousands of clubs is pretty good in size. Traditionally, when we observe our club's 104th birthday, we recognize those who've had perfect attendance for the previous Kiwanis year. Now, recognize that the previous Kiwanis year ended September 30th. So we're looking at from October of 2022 to September of 2023. And many of you are faithful about checking in when you're here. I try to check behind you if perhaps you're on a conversation when you're walking in that door, or come up through the back door. I try to add you as being present. But I'm not going to say we're 100% perfect. And if you think you deserve perfect attendance and I missed it, please let me know and we'll rectify that for future reporting in the newsletter. I should also say that no one is here no one in this room, no one in our club that's not here, no one on Zoom is here every single week. So how do you get perfect attendance? Well, we've got a lot of makeup opportunities, particularly those who are on committees, and we count Zoom, those who are on the board. When you become an officer of this club, you've got board meetings, officers meetings, regular meetings. It's pretty automatic to become perfect attendance when you're a board member. If you work on a project, I attend many of the committee meetings, but not all. And I don't know 100% if you go to social opportunities, whether it be our fun event that's coming up or the Mill Mountain Theater. So with all those qualifiers, here's my best effort of people that qualify for perfect attendance for this year. And as I give your name, please stand, and then I'll let you know when we can applaud everyone. 1 year, Gene Bollendorf. Harry Zuloff is not here today, and I think those of you know that Harry's active on a lot of committees and generally here. 2 years, Amy Carter, not here today. Very rare for Amy to not be here, but of course we didn't meet for several years during COVID, so her attendance was effective there. 3 years, John Ewart. Continue standing. John, where are you? Stand. Stephanie Moon Reynolds, not here today. Mike Obrachta, 3 years. You may recall, even when Mike was around the world, he was Zooming with us and active in a lot of committees. And since he's been president, you know, he's been probably 5 years worth of meetings in 3 months. 4 years, Ben Spiker. 5 years, Clark Goodman. 5 years, Mike McAvoy. 8 years, Reef Kessler. Reef is especially good about noting when he has an outside activity. That makes my job a lot easier. Thank you for doing that, Reef. 8 years, Joyce Montgomery. 9 years, Sherry Hartman. I don't believe she's here today. 9 years, Don Witt. Oh, Sherry's here. Well, I'm glad Sherry and Don are both here. Sherry, I missed you. I'm glad you're here, and I see David's here too. Sherry and Don have had oodles of nature park work, and that's one thing that keeps them current. 16 years, Ken Briggs. And we'll get to some bigger numbers here. 18 years, Andre Brooks. And Andre's very good about keeping me up with her makeups too. And I have 24, and then we're getting to the really big numbers. These are probably deserve highlighted. In fact, both these gentlemen not only have big numbers, but they have perfect attendance since they joined the club. That's pretty remarkable. 32 years, Don Wilson. Where is Don? Outstanding, Don. 38 years on Zoom today, Steve McGraw. Please give all of them a round of applause. Let me also tell you that some people are into the numerals that hang from your pin for the number of years. In fact, Don has his on today with an 8, right? That's Legion of Honor. That's 25 years or more. I've been in the club 27, and that's small potatoes. There's like 40 people, guys and gals, that have more than 27 years. But when you get to the 25 years, you're recognized for Legion of Honor, recognized in 5-year increments. This year we have 7 people we're going to recognize that have crossed into a new barrier, and you get a special pin that indicates Legion of Honor. It's silver in the number of years. Some of these people aren't here today. Some of them aren't here very often. You might even say, I don't even know who that is. Important thing is they continue to support our club in various ways, including Steve McGraw paying their dues. Some of them are mainstays of the club. Here's the people we're recognizing crossing Legion of Honor barriers today. 25 years, Dick Clemmer. 30 years, Dirk Kirk. Now, Andy, you're related to Dirk Kirk. He's lived in Charlottesville the last 20 years. His grandfather was the president of this club in 1936, 88 years ago, and he chooses to support our club from Charlottesville, partly because of that. I guess being Andy's relative is one reason too. 30 years, Judy Clark. Judy, would you stand? Yes, Judy, 30 years. 30 years, Eric Danielson. 35 years, not here today, past president Tom Miller. 40 years, that's pretty impressive, 40 years, especially when you think how young these guys look. David Lemon has now crossed into 40 years. And our last honoree, past president, foundation president, Lee Osmond. Please stand, recognize these people. Appreciate you indulging me for that. And if you want to be part of this list next year, come see me. Thank you.
Outstanding. That's proof that you can have quantity and quality at the same time. Mr. Kessler, please come up to the microphone.
So good afternoon. Harry Zuloff is the Kiwanis advisor for the Key Club at Roanoke Catholic. Harry's with his wife today at the hospital, as we all know, so I'm standing in. It gives me this opportunity, though, to say, as the Key Club coordinator, that these visits by our Key Club affiliates are an opportunity for both sides. It's an opportunity for these young people who serve as officers of their Key Clubs to come see our Kiwanis Club in full mode of operation. And hopefully they'll be impressed enough that some years from now, they'll come and be a Kiwanis member here, or in Charlotte, or in Washington, D.C., or in Topeka, Kansas, or someplace. It also gives us the opportunity, of course, to hear about the many activities that these Key Club around the valley do. You'll be impressed. I mean, it varies from club to club, but overall, they're quite active and do a lot. We have the same goals. We're aligned on that. So anyway, now having taken up a minute of the allotted time already, I'm going to say here are the visitors from the Roanoke Catholic Key Club. and they'll stand up here. First is the faculty advisor, Sarah Plant. She has been a Key Club faculty advisor for something like 20 years. That's a huge amount of service. She does a really excellent job. This year's student officers then are Ellie Patel, who's going to speak here in just a minute, the president, and the others. Stand up when I call your name here now. Mickey O'Haron, the vice president, Hatcher Ring, secretary, Rafael Peraz, the treasurer, and Annie Kovatz, the editor. So glad that you're here with us today. And so now Ellie is going to give us a little update on what's happening at the Roanoke Catholic Key Club.
Hello, my name is Ellie Patel and I'm a senior and the president of the Roanoke Catholic Key Club. On behalf of the 32 members of our club, I would like to thank you for all your support this year. With your help, we were able to serve in some great projects. So far, we have served dinner and prepared lunches at the rescue mission, babysat kids at school on student or teacher work days, worked at the RCS Mathnasium night, acted as course marshals in the crop walk, helped clean up the Centennial Playground area, and worked at the Night of Bethlehem event at our school. In addition to this, we plan to have our annual Super Seniors Drive, volunteer at the Pancake Breakfast, and a Holy Week food drive at our school. Thank you again for your support and for inviting us to this lunch.
Thank you, Key Clubbers. You've accomplished many things, one of which is by being here today, you've lowered the average age of the people in this room. So let's do some announcements. If you looked at the newsletter, you saw some photographs in there. Some are photos of the new trail in our nature park. Thank you, Don Witt, for leading that effort. Our foundation president is here today. As you heard, he's been here 40 years in a row. And the contest that he's been running for donations this year is closed. Lee, I guess you're going to make some drawings out of a hat next Wednesday. Looking forward. Chidwoods are here. See Diane. Valentine's cards. I've already asked Diane to meet with me afterwards because I need a special card for my wife. So, Communications Committee, Gene Bollendorf, you're meeting in person tomorrow morning at Mill Mountain Coffee. Looking forward to joining that meeting myself, actually. Book Club meets tonight. Sherry and David Hartman are seated over there. Book Club is one of our newest committees, and you're meeting at the South County Library tonight. Also tonight, you going to fit dinner in sometime? I hope you got 2 meetings tonight. Also tonight, you're conducting a Capital District DEI-BA Zoom seminar. Good for you. Coming up shortly, prayer breakfast folks are meeting to discuss that event. They're going to meet Friday. They're Zooming. I've already mentioned I'm meeting with my advisors next Wednesday. Looking just a little further into the future, the Fun Committee. It's taken us out to Awful Authors on February 8th. I'm hoping you all put something in the newsletter about that. The more the merrier, because it is supposed to be fun. So late breaking, one of the guests today is Tom Fitzpatrick, and I'm going to brag on Tom before I read the announcement he's given me. Tom, you're seated where? There he is. He's back at the bad boys table. Okay. Tom's been heavily involved in our Kiwanis Nature Park project. Tom is in charge of all the science programs in the Roanoke City school system. Tom has connected those 2 dots. And now, every 3rd grader in every school in the Roanoke City school system now has a module that can only be completed by doing work about or in our Kiwanis Nature Park. All right, now you're so appreciative of that when this information goes out in the newsletter, you're going to sign up, be science fair judges on February 15th. The fair is being held at Fleming High School, blah, blah, blah. There'll be more information about how to sign up and what your duties will be. I have done this in the past. I recommend you do it with me this year. Because after all, did I mention what Tom has been doing for us? Last announcement that I'm aware of. Somebody hold up some free lunch cards. I want to see those now. Andre, you don't count. Somebody else, you've handed those out. Somebody else, hold those cards up. Use those cards, fill this room up next week, just like you did this week. Thank you very much. You know what? We have time for just a couple brag bucks. If you want to brag, bring some cash up here and you can have the microphone for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. The cash that you bring up, and guess you can do this too. The cash you bring up gets put in the pot for our foundation.
Hi, friends. It is so good to see your faces today. This is the first time that I have been out since being sick in a normal environment. And this is the first place that I wanted to come because I knew I would be most comfortable. And that's something to brag about. The other thing I want to brag about is Mike O'Brockton, his beautiful wife, who took time Saturday to come see me, not only to check on me, but to bring one of the most amazing dinners I've ever had. I knew Mike had a lot of skills and talents, but I did not know that him probably being a professional chef could be one of them. So I also want to say that the cards that are floating around may be a whole lot more important than you think they are, because I got my card on one of the hardest days that I've had since I've been sick, and it couldn't have come at a better time. So just know that when you sign that card, it's probably a whole lot more than just a little bit of ink on a piece of paper. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Lee Osborne. I'm going to make a quick brag this week because we were going to do the drawing this week. We had such a busy schedule. We decided to put it off till next week. But so I won't take time next week because I'll be limited next week. I'm going to brag on Donna Lynch and John Montgomery for all the help they were in organizing our Kiwanis fundraiser, Kiwanis Foundation fundraiser this year. Also have to give a tip off to John Bradshaw, who is constantly, he's the longest standing member, not only I think of this club, but of our foundation board. And he is always encouraging us to find ways to ask you all to give and support our foundation. And he also leads by example. So I want to thank John. I also want to thank the recent past presidents of the foundation, Don Wilson, Will Dilling, and Manly Ayler, for their leadership in helping to establish a message for this club. I don't know that everyone understands the extent of the support that the Kiwanis Foundation provides to our community service budget, but we are very close to $60,000 for the next year's service budget. And I can remember when I think I first got on in the club, it was more in the range of $10,000 to $15,000. So the foundation has grown, and it grows largely because of the support that you all provide. So that's my brag. I'm going to give John my money, and then I'll be handing out some door prizes next week.
Well, I have two brags. First, I got to brag on two of my kids that finished in the top 12 or 15 of Woodrow Wilson Science Fair, and will be at said science fair on February 15th. Hey. So looking forward to that. Yep. Hey. My other one is for Brain Injury Solutions, is having jogging for your noggin. We have information on your tables about that. We're looking for runners, we're looking for volunteers. Just reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, braggarts. So in a minute, Bill Bestich is going to introduce our speaker, but before he does, I want you to know that not every month in the year has the same number of Wednesdays. And it turns out in January, there are 5 Wednesdays, which means Bill, what's your name? Bill Bestich has arranged for 5 terrific speakers in a row. Thank you, Bill Bestich. And do you know that during the month of January, thank you, Bill Bestich again, we've had more guests during that month than we've had in a long time. I see a connection there, Bill. Now, before Bill introduced the speaker, I also want to say that Katie has been a really strong participant in our nature park project. And since his father is here today, I want him to know that that project would have just gone down the tubes if it weren't for Katie. I'll just tell you right now, we couldn't get this far without her. So, Bill, come on up here.
Thank you, President Mike. Katie Slusher grew up here in the Roanoke Valley. She has a Bachelor of Environmental Design degree from the University of Colorado and a Master's of Architecture from the University of Texas. So she went way far away to get her education. Then she worked for some design firms in Richmond and with a community design center based out of Kent State University. She moved home in 2021, and has already been pointed out a couple of times. Her dad's so happy about that, he came along with her today, and we're happy about you being here. She is the Planning and Development Coordinator for the City of Roanoke's Recreation Department, and they have a lot of projects going on right now that she's going to help you understand. Katie?
Let's get this hooked up. All right, it worked 20 minutes ago, so we'll see. It's thinking about it. Okay. All right, hi everyone. I'm Katie Slusher. I'm the Planning and Development Coordinator. Louder? Okay, I'll try and stay close here. Okay. I'm the Planning and Development Coordinator for Roanoke City's Parks and Recreation Department. So I think I have the most fun job. I get to plan and develop all the new projects in our parks, new amenities, redevelopment of parks, large-scale infrastructure projects. I don't have to take care of any of it. I just get to create it, leave it for the community, and then our other park staff members are very dedicated to that job of taking care of what we've built. So what I really want to talk about today is this moment we're at in our park system. It's a really transformational one. I think we've been doing a lot of planning over a lot of years. The Great Recession really was a huge hit to the department. There was not a lot of funding to build anything new and even to maintain what we really had. And with a lot of the pandemic era funding, we're at this moment where so many projects that we talked about and planned for and prepared for decades at this point are all coming online at once. So there's a lot to talk about. I'll try and move through everything pretty quickly. And I've structured the slides based off our master plan from 2019. So there was a huge amount of community engagement and a really ambitious plan that came out of that effort. I think a lot of folks at the time would call it overambitious, but the timing really worked out for us, and the funding from the federal level has really enabled us to make huge progress on this in the 5 years since that plan was adopted. So first, in terms of the greenways, big project that was completed this summer that I'm sure you're familiar with, the Bridge the Gap section on Roanoke River. We had a ribbon cutting last July, and we are in the process of constructing Tinker Creek's Phase 2A, which will open up this spring. So some images from the ribbon cutting. I bet more than a few of you were there. Great celebration, really significant project in terms of the Roanoke River Greenway. We have just one section left of that now to complete within the city limits. This is the Tinker Creek Greenway construction. So you can see with that little map that it's kind of a little fragment that we're constructing based on the funding and kind of the difficulty of the engineering. We're starting with that, and then we'll do the section just to the south that will connect it to the existing Tinker Creek section. So this will go from Mason Mill Park to a trailhead lot we're building just off of 13th Street. So we're pretty close, looking at construction completion in April of this year. There will be a lovely ADA fishing pier in Mason Mill Park as part of this project as well on the stocked section of Tinker Creek there. So that one's getting close to a ribbon cutting for late spring, early summer. Some other greenway connections that we're working on. This project that's in design currently is a pretty critical connection that will link the Garden City Greenway kind of southern terminus to the Star Trailhead parking lot at the base of Mill Mountain. So we'll have an off-road bike ped connection that you can take Roanoke River and connect to Garden City, and then from Garden City you can get to the Mill Mountain Trail system without having to bike or walk on road at all. So that one's in design. We're looking at construction for kind of later this year into 2025. And then of course, the last connection on, or last section of the Roanoke River Greenway we're looking to complete in the city is the eastern section that will go from the Bennington lot to the terminus of Tinker Creek Greenway, and we'll get rid of that big hill climb on Underhill that I know everybody loves so much, that some of the folks at the city affectionately call Poop Duez because it's right near the water treatment plant and sometimes has a bit of a smell to it. So we will have that nice 5% grade, accessible grade through the woods there to get to Tinker Creek Greenway. So a lot of people are excited about that one. We're in design. Construction is TBD. We don't have funding, so we'll be looking to those federal funding sources to hopefully do construction sometime in 2025, 2026. The next big moves we had in our master plan were really centered around recreation and aquatics. So we have several of these in motion: the Eureka Recreation Center redevelopment, Washington Park Pool redevelopment, and then are just starting some planning for the Fishburne Mansion. So with Eureka's Recreation Center, this one, the scope has really shifted a bit over the past couple years. We were really hoping to do, pre-pandemic, it was going to be a 30,000+ square foot facility, and it was going to have 2 full gyms. The realities of what our budget could get us post-pandemic are about half of that. We're looking at a 17,000 square foot facility and a lot more renovation of what we have in addition than the kind of full new rec center that was originally envisioned. So we held a lot of engagement over 2023. This picture here, I love, that has our artist in residence, Robin Mitchell, that's been working with us on the project, leading some engagement around arts and how they can be incorporated into the new building. Have also done some workshops with youth. At Addison, there's the image there. We've also done some design exercises with our after school kids at Eureka to kind of get them imagining what their new rec facility could be like, and several public meetings as well. So a lot of community conversation around this to really prioritize with a tight budget what the neighborhood wants to see in that facility. So this is the current design. We're into construction document production at this point. So we're getting close to the point where we'll bid this out for construction and actually start to see work happening on site. But as you can see, kind of the left side of the plan here, that's our existing gym that will be fully renovated. The existing classroom spaces also fully renovated. And then everything to the right of the gym is new addition. This is a rendering of what that will look like. So again, you're kind of looking mainly at the new addition here and then the gym to the left. And a big thing that came out of the conversation with the community was how much of a need there was for color and life to come into that building. And we've really taken a big focus on the art and how to incorporate multiple public art pieces into the building, knowing that we can't get every amenity in every space that people may want there, but that's a way to really make the center feel like a deeply connected part of the neighborhood and really colorful, really lively spaces. So we're still, these are kind of placeholders, but you can see those colorful graphics are where we're looking at public art installations for the building. For Washington Park Pool, we're still kind of refining the design for that one. I know a lot of folks have probably heard a lot about this project and some of the issues we had with the former landfill in the upper part of the park and our inability to kind of put the pool back where it was because of those landfill issues underground. So we're looking at putting it in the lower portion of Washington Park and have kind of come up with this diagram as the way to get all of those new facilities in and avoid the Evans house. So it's our hope that, if we don't find any other surprises underground, that we can avoid any sort of demo on the Evans house and get all of the new amenities and new facilities that we need down there in Washington Lower. So that one, we're finalizing some design. We'll probably have an announcement about that in the next few weeks or a month, kind of showing the schematic and what those features will be in that pool. And the timeline for construction is looking at opening for summer 2025. For Fishburne Mansion, we just started a master planning process. So we're actually doing a workshop tomorrow with some stakeholders, and the Friends of Mountain View are hosting an open house on Sunday to kind of talk about some of those ideas and concepts for definitely restoring the historic fabric. That's kind of the very baseline need that we have, is doing a lot of deferred maintenance and restoration on the exterior facades, but then also looking at what are the kind of programming needs people are looking for, what are the priorities in terms of how to use the space, and how can we make some improvements to support that, particularly in terms of ADA access, but also, some of the building systems and things like that that are, not an ideal configuration. So we are working on this master planning process through this summer. We're going to try and come up with a scheme for the restoration and renovation that the Friends of Mountain View can then use to do some fundraising work. The city has some capital budget in a couple years that we are hoping to kind of match with some of that grant funding or private funding to do a major restoration of the property. All right, a few more capital priorities here that were on those kind of big swing, big moves lists that we had in the master plan. Some work at River's Edge North, the in-river park, and then the skate park, both in Wasena. So River's Edge North has kind of been a moving target because of the floodplain. We were going to do a lot more there. But the scope at this point is just to kind of close the loop on some of the pedestrian access, walking paths, greenway connections. And that'll close out the improvements for River's Edge North for now. So this sidewalk was installed last summer, and a greenway connection is still in the queue for this spring. And then that'll make a really nice kind of interior walking loop at River's Edge North. On the Blue Way, the in-river park. So this is a huge project that I have spent months in a permitting hole on. So this diagram kind of shows you all the areas along the river from Memorial Bridge to Smith Park that we are looking at putting some features either in river, put in takeout spaces, or the other kinds of amenities along those lines. So it's a really massive project. I think a lot of folks saw the rendering of, kind of the main area underneath the pedestrian bridge, and may think that that's kind of the whole of the project, but there's really going to be a huge impact in terms of river access from Memorial Bridge all the way to Smith. So here's a couple more kind of schematic drawings of some of those. These are the two ADA put-in areas that we'll be installing. So the one on the left is that kind of center of the project underneath the Greenway pedestrian bridge in Wasena. So that I'll have river features and access that it's ADA accessible all the way down to the river's edge. And then same thing under Memorial Bridge, there will be ADA access down to the river at that spot as well. And I just kind of wanted to show this because I know sometimes folks, when they don't hear updates from me, the assumption can be that things aren't happening. And everybody saw these beautiful renderings last summer and are very excited and are sort of wondering why I've been quiet for a while on this project. And the image on the left is why. So we've been working with the Army Corps, the DEQ, Fish and Wildlife, and DWR on permitting this project. And they have a lot of very valid concerns about, what if any impacts will be on the ecosystem, the species in the river, the floodplain. So this kind of crazy drawing is illustrating a lot of that. It's one of 400 pages we have in that permit set. So it's a lot of really in the weeds work on not just determining how the ultimate project will impact the river, but how the construction work will impact the river. And that's been the fascinating thing on this project for me is I think usually with construction, everybody's concerned about what's there at the end of the day, but there's just as much permitting and documentation involved for the construction process as there is for the actual project in this one. So it's been a fascinating project for me. And I think, I'm excited about what we've learned from our consultants about, some of the benefits that may come out of this for the species in the river and, some of the conversations that have arisen around it related to water quality and how this project can really get people connected to the river and more invested in stewardship of the river. So this is an exciting one that we're looking at hopefully having permitted by sometime this summer and starting construction this winter. Another smaller Blue Way improvement, this Bennington boat launch, another ADA boat launch that went in near the Bennington trailhead right off of Roanoke River Greenway. So we're really trying to link these improvements together and get to a point where we'll have ADA access all the way up and down the stretch of Roanoke River within the city. So this one was completed last fall and really turned out lovely with the mural that was already existing there. It kind of frames the whole thing. So the skate park, another one we get a lot of feedback about. This one we're in contract negotiations. So this is just the schematic from the feasibility study a few years back, but we're getting really close to a big announcement on this one too, that will have, kind of updated design, updated timeline. So hoping to have that contract in place in the next month or two and, getting rolling with the detailed design. All right, new HQ. This one's kind of been my baby lately. So if you're not familiar, we purchased the Richardson Whalen warehouse complex that's kind of just below Memorial Bridge. and have been working on plans to renovate that into our new headquarters. So it's a big project that became even bigger when about a year ago, we had that real cold snap at Christmas and it got down to 0 degrees. And the fire suppression sprinkler system burst in the building and flooded everything. So we thought we were doing some light renovation and it became kind of a full gut renovation. So this is building 2 will kind of be our operations hub. That's the one on the left. Building 1 is going to be our office space there. So we're pretty excited about that. It's going to be really convenient to the new in-river park features there. That river launch will be right under Maroa Bridge. The parking area for the office will kind of serve double duty as weekday parking for our staff and trailhead parking for the river on nights and weekends. So it's going to be a great new hub for not just our operations, but also our programming. And last, I'm just going to tick through some of the deferred maintenance that, again, huge priorities for folks in the master plan, and they're kind of smaller potatoes in terms of the projects, but I think can have a huge impact. So a lot of playground improvements, ADA access to the playgrounds improved as well. Here's a couple from this year at Eastgate and Strauss Parks. Ball field fencing that we've been working on kind of all over the city. The most recent ones were at Fallon Park, replacing and revitalizing those fields. And courts as well, a lot of court work over the past couple years. Here's a few at Huff Lane, and then also the purple and silver are obviously Shrine Hill right by PH. And then just a few more deferred maintenance upcoming. You know, we're redoing the landscaping in Henrietta Lacks Plaza. We're adding an ADA connection to Morningside's community garden and replacing a lot of the signage in our parks as well. This one I like because it's the Girl Scout troop that replaced the Raleigh Court sign. I like to show this to the Eagle Scouts that, you know, think their project's a lot of work, that these 11-year-old girls built one, so. Coming soon, we have capital funding in the plan for Mountain View for the restoration and improvements in fiscal 28. Some greenway improvements in the Northwest quadrant where we're starting to see that life cycle of, you know, the paving on the greenway it's getting cracked, it's getting bumpy, and really impacting the accessibility. So have some money to address some of those needs and more deferred maintenance. And this chart just kind of shows you where we're at with that master plan. You know, we're at year 5 right now. We're about to start our 5-year kind of check-in update. So stay tuned for that. If you love projects that you've seen, if there are ones that are not on the list that you think need to be prioritized, we're going to be doing engagement around that master plan update in March. So is when we're going to kick that off. So a good opportunity now to kind of check in on the progress and also look to the future. But it's really been much more than I think any of us, you know, again, big swings, big goals, and really what we've been able to achieve and how much progress we've made on even the 5 to 10 year goals at this point. We're really proud of and excited for what that's going to mean for the city as a whole. So that's all I have. If there are questions, I have 1 minute and 10 seconds left.
They can find all this on Play Roanoke website.
So all the projects, yeah, we have info about any of our capital projects. We try on Play Roanoke, our website, we try to document, you know, if there are engagement opportunities, surveys that are live, capital projects we're working on. We have a projects page that you can look for that has all that. Yeah.
You said we're trying to take Garden City Greenway to the Star Trail parking lot.
Yes.
You said without crossing the road. Well, that's what I heard.
Well, so it'll cross Garden
Repeat
City.
the question.
Oh, yeah. So the question is, how will the connection from Garden City Greenway get to the Star Trailhead without crossing the road? So it crosses Garden City Greenway, but the path will be off-road. So well, you'll cross on a crosswalk, but then the rest of the connection will be a greenway type connection rather than like sidewalk, bike lane connection.
You can take questions afterwards.
Okay.
Katie has agreed to stay afterwards, take your questions. I encourage you to take advantage of that. Now, we have a little speaker honorarium, and this is going to the Friends of Mountain View. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I just want you to know that, especially you guests, this is such a large and active Kiwanis club that we have an environment program, an environment committee. We partner with the city on many projects. And one of the projects we partner with them, specifically your organization, is we partner with them each year to raffle off the Mill Mountain Star. We do that as a fundraiser. Each year, some organization or individual donates a large amount of money and they take ownership of the star for 1 year. It's a big deal. Well, in return for the city parks folks, in return for them granting us that opportunity, we then do a project each year as a return favor. And our own Fred Jeter has just agreed to lead our Mill Mountain Cleanup Playground Mulch Project. And that's why we're one of the biggest and most active clubs in the world, because we have members like that. So next week and the week after, and every week in the month of February, we're going to have programs related to the fact that it's Black History Month. And we're going to do something that's never been done in the 104-year history of this club. All speakers next week are club members. Thank you. All speakers next month are club members. Steve McGraw has lined up a roster of terrific speakers, beginning next week with our own Milton Hardy. I'm looking forward to that. Milton will be staying after the talk next week to sign autographs, I understand. I think there are cards that are being passed around that you are now going to bring up to the front table. Anything else? Then.
Let's get the sign on, Mike.
I got it. Thank you.
Oh. Us too.